Viewers, it's my pleasure to introduce Sri RVS Mani once again to our hangout. Mr. Mani, welcome to P Guru's channel.
Namaskar. Namaskaram.
So today, viewers, we are going to touch upon the funding that went into the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation from a very disturbing source, the Ministry of Home Affairs. There's a big context to this, and this is not something that should be brushed under the carpet saying that the amounts are low. There has been a systematic encouragement, I should say, encouragement to donate to this fund. And now information is coming out that this fund may also have had accounts outside India, particularly in some money laundering countries. To know more about this, let's talk with Mr. Mani, who has been in the Ministry of Home Affairs for several years, and he has some very good details that have not been revealed in the MSM. So this is some sort of an exclusive. Mr. Mani, you have the floor. Please take it away.
Namaskar.
Yeah.
Today it's a very, very disturbing news which is running in most of the popular channels in the government in India, excepting a few select one which are, I think, which are something like telecasting some totally different news, not relevant or I don't know. But what is disturbing is the revelations which are coming forth. These revelations that Rajiv Gandhi Foundation, which is a totally private NGO, receiving fund from the union budget of several ministries, and more disturbing is the fact that it received funds from the Ministry of Home Affairs. So it is there in their website. From there, the news has gone viral. It was in the 2005-6 period and all that. People are well aware of it. But I, more than getting aware of it, I'm more concerned about it. First thing is, the Home Secretary is the chief accounting authority of every secretary of the department, is the chief accounting authority of the budget passed by Parliament and placed in his hands. And for expending this budget, he is provided with a financial advisor of the additional secretary level and all adequately senior level, so that the diligence, second level diligence is also applied. I have also worked as a deputy financial advisor in Textile Ministry. I know the processes and all, quite well versed in that. Most important thing is, you cannot draw budget money from the exchequer just like that at the throw of the hat. First thing is, under what head? The entire budget is divided into around 30 or 40 heads. Some grants have to go, some police grants are there, something like modernization of police forces is a certain grant, union territories, there's a certain, I'm talking Home Ministry, administration, salary, general administration, the upkeep, housekeeping, security, file, so many things are, including the control of the control room. So budget is not a simple straightforward exercise that Madam ordered it and Shivraj Patil simply signed a check in his favor. It cannot be possible. There has to be a lot of diligence around every proposal. First thing is to conceive that Rajiv Gandhi Foundation had anything to do with Ministry of Home Affairs at that time. The mandate of the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation was morely, I'm talking based on facts, in 2005-6 was mostly welfare as published out there. Home Ministry was not into that domain area at all. None of the programs in 2005-6 related to welfare. Most of the programs were related to reinforcement of the security apparatus, official language, Punjab University, which is under the Ministry of Home Affairs, and certain other issues like that. Maybe a foreigners division had some. That also was a more administrative setup, nothing, no granting ideas to go out anywhere. Monitoring, regulation, and all this were there. So there was not a scheme other than the modernization of police forces scheme from which the head of account, the money could have been drawn. Hence, it appears that it has been drawn from the Either the police grant security reinforcement or the security apparatus, strengthening of the security apparatus. A gift was made from there to our friend Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Does it not compromise the security preparedness of the country? The basic question is that. The irony is that does it not compromise the preparedness? What you have told the Parliament while passing the demand for grants, that I want this money in this head for reinforcing the ability of the Indian police for security forces, maybe for higher recruitment. I want to improve the police population ratio, whatever may be. I want to get them better apparatus, more X-ray machines, more scanners, night vision binoculars. It could be anything. So they must have taken some head under which the money has been taken out and given to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. What is that head? We don't know. If it was not from the union budget, because the chief, I've already said, the then Union Home Secretary, Mr. V.K. Duggal, would have been better if he had comes out and answers. Because there were certain issues, the financial advisor did not become a full-fledged secretary to the government of India because of the differences with the governance during those days. Mr. N.A. Vishwanathan, I don't know what he became and where he retired. So maybe that could be one of the reasons. I'm just second guessing it. Having said that, more importantly, the money would have been not only been sanctioned, the money, there would have been a bill raised. In that bill, raising of a bill to draw the money from the treasury ventures, it should have been examined and a particular head of account would have been seen. The bill clerk or the level at which the controller of accounts also examine the entire process again, totally de novo, whether it is admissible or not. The head of account in which it is possible. So was the chief controller of complicity of the chief controller, pliability of the chief controller of accounts also included in this drawal of money from the state exchequer? This is a very, very vital question. If the financial advisor having granted the sanction, or Home Secretary can overrule the financial advisor and also as the chief accounting authority permit the expenditure, and thereafter our friend the chief controller of accounts has not examined this aspect also, then does it not, this pliability itself makes them unfit to be in any of the security apparatus? Because it is simply not giving the money from here to there. You are depriving the security forces maybe of the ration, maybe of the binoculars, maybe of the apparatus, maybe of the equipment, maybe of the arms. We don't know the security related expenditures. So we don't know what type of compromise was made in the union budget, demand for the grants of the Ministry of Home Affairs during that period to draw out that money. This is number one. The Ministry of Home Affairs also has an auxiliary budget, which is subject to post audit. It is required for certain contingencies, security contingencies, and so. And if it has been given out of that, that is even more dangerous, because by virtue of that, the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation can trace the accounts from where the money has landed. And by virtue of that, somebody sitting in China or even in India, a Chinese agent or anybody with a lot of acquaintance can monitor the expenditure from that auxiliary account and simply map, do a reverse engineering and map what type of reinforcements are happening, what type of strengthening, what type of steps to strengthen the internal security or security of the country could be easily mapped out. There are very good experts sitting on this side. So these are all concerning points. So this is as far as MHA, Ministry of Home Affairs, having contributed, is absolutely pregnant with lot of risks for the life and security of the security personnel and also life and property of the security personnel, the security forces. Yes, please.
So was this limited to a few years, or was it something that happened every year during the UPA rule?
Actually, this I have been taken by surprise that this happened that period. We don't know which division, which joint secretary was pliable enough to offer himself as a sacrificial lamb to pay the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. Maybe he would have been well rehabilitated by now. So this is a matter of whether it happened up to 2009 or not is not very clearly known. But I've already told you policy paralysis and certain refusal to take action against alarms coming out from Chinese industry and Chinese flooding, so many things were also indicators that there is a lot of collusion or complicity between the top leadership of the then UPA and the Chinese. Because here you see in the RGF, it is not that Ministry of Home Affairs alone has given, a few other ministries have also given, which they should answer under what head of account did they give. The public sector agencies have given. Life Insurance Corporation, my wife works for that. You have the ONGC, you have the Oil India, and so many other central public sector organizations. Central public sector organization out of 248 organizations in 2005, more than 200 were sick. They were struggling to raise themselves. Besides that, you have the public sector banks, the financial institutions also giving out low contributions to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation during that period. Under what scheme? Because here is a case where your finance secretary Montek Singh Ahluwalia is also a member in that Rajiv Gandhi Foundation Trust. Finance Minister P. Chidambaram is a very key member in the foundation trust. Prime Minister is also a member. So can any person, any CMD of a PSU or a public sector bank or even a private entrepreneur, top industries like Adil Godrej or Suresh Neptia, refuse if a call comes from the finance minister or the prime minister of the country that they should give a voluntary contribution of 2 crore rupees or 5 crore rupees? Can they say no? Their business will be shut down. People don't know there's such a reality. I think you will agree with that.
Oh, yes, I do. I do. I've been harassed too. So I have intimate knowledge of how this government babus work. I don't think it is the government itself. It's some babus who don't want their skeletons coming out of their closet. They do some, underhanded stuff like that, where the motives are very, very questionable. So please continue.
So when the finance minister or the home minister of the or even finance minister or the prime minister of the country is sitting on the trust, first is it's a matter of impropriety, conflict of interest. Number two is the finance secretary is also a member of that. Dr. Montek Singh Ahluwalia calls himself a very professional financial personnel. He says, I'm a world banker and all that, but he needs to answer to the country on this. What is he doing? Was he going around with the begging bowls among these industrialists, or arm twisting them, or giving them favorable policy decisions, favorable revenue regime, favorable investments in infra, so that it was a quid pro quo between the people? These are all questions that begs an answer from the country. More importantly, we have been shouting in the Egmont Group, which is the international group against money laundering. We have the Financial Sector Review Board by the World Bank. We have the FATF. We have the Asia Pacific Group on anti-money laundering. There are so many papers where we shout from the rooftop in every of its plenary meetings about money laundering. I'm not touching upon the terror funding, which is totally interconnected, but pure money laundering. Rajiv Gandhi Foundation have taken money from the government on a false premise. The sanctions have been issued on a false premise. This is itself a prima facie money laundering. Number one, it attracts PMLA Act also. Number two, when we talk about that, this Rajiv Gandhi Foundations also had certain accounts in areas where money laundering is prominent, zero tax regimes like Bahamas or maybe St. Lucia or maybe a Seychelles or I don't know where all it is. Some information is still flowing into on that. So this is another fact. Where do we stand on money laundering? So
Sir, what are the amounts we are talking about here?
amounts actually, whatever has come out on public domain is very small, but the payoffs are much bigger. See, China might have contributed only 1.3 crores to the foundation. What else did they do? What are they siphon off? And certain amounts are percentage based also. These are all very complicated issues. See, he will say, I will give you 20% of the market, you give me 2% of the revenues. These type of trade-offs also happen. There are middlemen in Delhi who are running around all over the place. It is happening. It's a reality. Now, for example, Mosher Bears, who is in soup because of certain money laundering, that Mr. Puri, KL Puri, or some Mr. Puri,
He's related to Kamal Nath.
that Ratul Puri's father, he started off as a broker only. Later on, he established when there was shortage of floppy disk manufacturers in the country, he entered with all the money and all that. But otherwise, basically, he started off as a broker. That is one part of the story. We have many like that going around. And interestingly, the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation also had several other names which were also common in the National Advisory Council, like the National Manufacturing Competitiveness Council chairperson, who had been credited with turning around this BHEL and SAIL and Maruti Udyog and all. Former member Planning Commission. He was also a member of the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. P. Chidambaram was a very member. Then you have this that Eicher group chairman, one gentleman. He was also a member. I'm just forgetting his name. Like that, there are several industrial group chairmen were also there. R.P. Goenka, I think, was a member of the Rajiv Gandhi Foundation.
So
these people.
So these are all, I'm sorry to interrupt you, these are all like building a facade. I don't think all these CEOs, group chairmen have time to even look at what is going on. They probably even don't come for the annual general body meeting if there is even one conducted. So I'm cutting to the chase a little bit here because we are running close to the limit in terms of time. What I'm surprised to see is under Indira Gandhi's regime, the party fund became family fund. Looks like now the government fund is also trended in that direction. What would your opinion be on that?
It was almost there. That was the reality. See, you could ask any ministry to contribute to your Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. It tantamounts to that. National Advisory Council again can divert from Rajiv Gandhi PM that emergency relief fund. That also was transferred to Rajiv Gandhi. Some money was transferred to. While the PM relief fund was the chairperson, NAC was sitting on and administering that. There also the money goes to Rajiv Gandhi Foundation. So it is as if the entire country is owned by a certain family with a sense of entitlement and usurping everybody's funds, whether you contribute 10 rupees or you contribute 10,000 crores. I will have the control over it. That is the basic theme against this. Now, I would prefer to give a call out to the government, Pradhan Mantri ji and Home Minister and all. See, the information now that has spilled out of all this is, and the Congress parties and Rajiv Gandhi's foundation's close association with the Chinese establishment and the agenda which they were pushing, this Rajiv Gandhi Foundation as an institution is involved in treason. And I would expect that it is banned under the UAPA Act. All its assets are seized, forfeited.
Viewers, there are serious allegations here. In fact, you do know that there is a PIL filed already in the Supreme Court. There is a hangout on that also that I'm going to be introducing you to the viewer. The viewer, and Mr. Mani, these are very serious allegations, and I think the Home Ministry and the Prime Minister need to take a serious look into this because you have subversion of funds, and that amounts to allegedly treason. And now, if you look at it, so it looks like the UPA killed its own MSME sector so that the Chinese could dump data and money and products.
That is one of the economic warfare. I mean, even in the recent MOU with the CCP, which has come out on the public domain, it is very clear under the China continuously docking it. See, not just Doklam, there have been several incursions all over the 4,000-kilometer border during the UPA time, and the Indian the then government in power was not taking seriously, and nobody was even aware of it. They were all suppression of fact. So this is something like a terror organization, and the money which RGF is possessing is also intended to perpetuate terror in the country. Section 21 case, Section 15.
Well, very strong words there. Thank you, Mr. Mani. And we'll see what develops. This is a fairly serious situation, and we're going to try and get this video out to you as soon as possible. Thank you very much, and namaskar.
Please give a call out to the Home Minister and the Prime Minister that it should be immediately declared a terror organization.